baseball. We're talking some Mlb Dfs. We had a pre-show conversation about hockey. Now myself and Tim, we're going to transition and talk some baseball. Talking baseball all the way up the lock. Lock time is not 6:40 like it was last night. No, 7:40 like it was last night. It is 7:05 on the East Coast. A plethora of games going down in baseball. It's a good one. It's a Coors slate. Myself and Tim will be relieved in the crunch time by Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Let you guys know what's going on precipitation-wise, not just rain, but wind and things of that sort. The dew point, whatever the Ross Weather Edge tool is pointing. He'll let you know what's going on there. And of course, y'all get very fun duo of Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, two-time millionaire winner, as well as Derek Carty. You know him as the CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. The Bat, more important these days, right? It's baseball season, not football season just yet. And speaking of Dave Potts, should mention, yesterday we gave you guys the free warning. We gave you a free warning, a free heads up, a courtesy heads up, didn't cost you anything. That free article today, Dave Potts, his musings are free. I will go ahead and drop that in chat. Read that at your own leisure, or if you're good at multitasking, like listen to the show and read. Can you do that, Tim? Is that something you can pull off? Can you make that work? Can you like and do that like successfully and digest information? Can you read and listen to two different things?
Apparently not, because I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying because I was reading something on my screen. So
what was on your screen that was so important?
Well, I was actually looking at Ross Weather Edge because I hadn't looked at it yet. So the answer to your question is no, I can't do both because I don't know what you were saying.
Fair enough. Just basically welcome everybody to the show. Say hello to the chat. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. And yes, somebody in chat said Carty and Cheese, that duo is elite. It is. That is an absolutely fantastic elite. I see TJ lurking in chat. TJ, he works in on these shows as well. Spidey Bomb is hot. Shout out to TJ. Patrick Wisdom, you want to call him the brain, you want to call him the tooth, whatever you call him. That was a winner last night. Scores and odds. Shout out to Justin Carlucci, the Luch. He was 3 for 3 last night in his homers. If you have the scores and odds package, you had a good time there as well. I think Wisdom was one of those 3. Also, Marcus Simeon. Can't remember who else it was. But yeah, Spidey's hot. The scores and odds homers are hot. What's TJ talking about? He's got a little link in chat. TJ he's shilling his other site. I respect it. He's shilling. Agents of Fandom apparently wrote about NHL. It's almost like he was listening to our pre-show conversation. That's what we were talking about. You're a big fan of hockey. I like hockey, but I can't follow it as much as the other stuff. You got to prioritize. Much like how you can't read and listen at the same time, I can't follow all the major sports.
It's the playoffs, Dean. Like the playoff hockey, there really isn't anything better in my opinion. So I mean, you can bear down and watch some playoff hockey. Granted, your Panthers will be done, in 3 games, but still, you can watch, you can follow.
I watched the Panthers last night. It was not fun. They were not good. They lost 3-1. I think it was the final score, if I'm not mistaken. Lyon let in a really, really soft goal, and we'll see if they move to Bobrovsky, or maybe it just doesn't matter. They're going to lose to Boston anyway. Anybody can win in hockey playoffs, but I don't think it's not happening. But, no expectations as far as the Panthers versus Boston. And you're right, as far as the leap up from, like, watchability or, like, just the crowd, although the Sacramento Kings crowd might be hold my beer.
True.
Well, actually.
I mean, this is just an amazing time of year for sports, just in general, right? I mean, this is
good stuff.
A lot of good stuff going on right now.
But yeah, hockey crowds are spectacular, especially overtime hockey is just insane. So nerve-wracking when you actually have like a dog in the fight, right? Just to watch it from a neutral perspective, like that, I can actually watch a sport from a neutral perspective. It's like overtime hockey, like next goal wins, just insane, and the crowds are awesome. I'm in on that. As far as the jump up, biggest jump in all the sports, hockey regular season to hockey playoffs. We're talking about tonight's Mlb Dfs slate. You mentioned it, Ross Weather Report, the Weather Edge. Precipitation-wise, unless something has changed, there's nothing going on as far as I know. What do you see as far as Weather Edge, as far as Ross Weather Report? Anything standing out to you, anything worth noting?
Well, I am going to have him maybe explain when he comes on crunch time. It's just, we see these big winds blowing out at Coors, but, very, very small sample size in Weather Edge. So, I mean, it's 70 degrees, winds blowing out 21 miles an hour to right center. I mean, that seems pretty juicy to me. Like, I know they're going to be highly owned, but only a 4-game sample size. So, but I mean, I think that we can use some common sense here and say that this is going to be an amazing spot for, I mean, not even considering the pitchers, this is going to be an amazing spot for weather for Coors Field.
You're muted, Dean.
Dean is muted.
Ah, man, I was saying
you haven't done that in a while, Dean. I mean, you've been running really good.
You know what it was? I was multitasking. I was reading the chat, and apparently I can't read the chat and it hit the unmute button at the same time. So turns out both of us cannot multitask, and I couldn't put a circle on my belly either. Couldn't do that. Couldn't do 3 things at once. You were looking at the Weather Edge tool, and I agree. Like, I'm throwing that out. 4 games, I don't care. That's not a big enough sample for me. Who knows who was pitching those games? If you look at the actual just weather report, the one that is free for everybody, I could drop that in chat as well. He's talking about the temperatures being 70 degrees. 20-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to left. Coors being Coors plus weather helping is a good thing for bats. So he's saying the same thing, right? Basically, don't let the Weather Edge thing. Not that it is scaring you away, but, that's small sample stuff, and who cares? It's really amazing as far as that Coors game, because you could argue it's the 2 worst. No matter where this game was being played, I think it's the 2 worst pitchers in the slate, if not the 2 worst, on the podium, on the Family Feud board, however you want to, line them up. The guys pitching in that game are horrific. But it's 2 mediocre offenses, like not meh offenses, I think the way I described them today in the expert survey. I just wonder, like, what would it be like if, like, there was 2 good offenses in these pitchers? Because we have a 13 total. You don't see 13 totals very often. Right. Sometimes we used to see it, like, in Wrigley when there's like 30 miles per hour blowing out and good offenses. But it's rare to get the 13. I just wonder, like, what if, like, a good offense was in Coors today? It would be like 14.5? Like, what would it, because these offenses kind of stink, right? And even Potts wrote about it. And
these offenses are awful. These offenses are awful. Like, if these offenses were even middle of the road or a little bit above average, I think we'd have a completely different conversation. Like, I mean, it's going to be hard to not play them anyway, but the only reason to fade them is because they're not good. But if they were good, you're right. This total would be, I would say, 14.5. I would say, I'd say that's fair. 14.5 would be the total.
And is that a fair assessment? Velasquez and Urania, 2 of the worst 3 or 4 pitchers.
I mean, I'm looking at every pitcher on the slate. I would say they'd have to be the 2 worst, right? I mean, who would you rate worse than them, even on a neutral field?
Yeah, dating back to last season, the worst Sierra is Jose Urania, 5.12, 107 innings. Kramer at 4.65, Keller at 4.55, Waldichuk, small sample, 4.41, Velasquez 4.33. But Waldichuk might be okay. Kramer, we're not really sure just yet. Probably not good. But I think Velasquez and Urania, if they're going to say that they're the 2 worst pitchers throwing baseballs and the worst spot to be throwing baseballs, I wouldn't disagree with that assessment. Again, the problem is, big slate, ownership's going to condense. The slates just don't care. They just don't care that there's a game in Coors. The sites, that is. As far as the prices on some of these guys. Now, some guys, they get adjusted, but some guys don't. Brian Hayes. Why is, what is he? He's 3.8 on DK. I want to say he's 2.9 on FanDuel. Chris Bryant's, okay, he's 5.5 on DK. Okay, sure. They priced him up there. Chris, Chrome 5.4 on DK. So some guys, they get the bump. But then FanDuel, again, Ryan McMahon on FanDuel is 3.2, which is kind of outrageous. He's snappy 3.2. That's a ridiculous price. Profar, 3.6 leading off on DK, 2.8 on FanDuel. And Chris Bryant, 3.1 on FanDuel. It's really easy, is the point. It's really easy to get these guys. And for cash games, you're playing your 50-50s, you're playing your head-to-heads. You're supposed to get a slew of guys in this Coors game. But, like, for tournaments, do you want to, really be above the field on guys like Jack Sawinski? I don't know. I don't think I want to be. This is kind of where I'm at. That's kind of the point I'm making. Brian Reynolds is awesome. Sure. McCutcheon's still good. Santana is fine. He's still really cheap, but, first base, a lot of big boppers there. Well, I think that's the decision point as far as this slate. What are you doing with Coors Field? Have you made an official stand? And I know you play a lot of single entry, 3-entry stuff. You don't necessarily wander out in the 30,000, entry fields. So you're not necessarily looking to be crazy goofy. What's your plan of attack? Are you still kind of figuring it out?
I'm still figuring it out, Dean, to be completely honest with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up Brian Hayes and that you brought up Jack Zawinski, because that's like, it's like, such a big degree difference between the talent level of those two guys, and the prices are basically the same on Fanduel, right? Like, so, I would be, Hayes and cash games is an absolute lock. In like tournament single entries, in the stuff that I play, he's going to be so high owned. Like, he'll be pushing 40, 50, 60%, depending on the size of the contest. I mean, he's going to be super, super, super chalk.
So you in on that, or you're out in that?
I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in on it. But I can certainly understand people saying that, that's just too high. But like, the spot is just so amazing. Like, Urina's not gonna. I mean, he's just not gonna miss a lot of bats. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time telling people not to play him. Other than it's a lot easier to say you're playing the $15, 50,000 people. It's easier to say fade him there. But if you're playing any kind of lower, entry level contest, I mean, it's tough. I'm leaning in on Hayes.
Yeah, I'm not playing the $15 like you referenced on DK, 300K total prize pool, 100K to first. I just don't, in principle, I don't want to play in a contest where 33% goes up top. But if I were, and I hate to be the guy that's like giving advice on something I'm not dabbling with, but again, that's the reason why I'm not playing it. I like a flatter payout. I think you absolutely should be getting away. You should be under the field on the Pittsburgh stuff and the Colorado stuff, and you're shooting for first in those contests, right? Not that you're not shooting for first in other contests, but there's more of a penalty if you don't hit first. If you're MMEing in that contest and you're not hitting first or like top 10 or top 20, you're really, really struggling to break even on the night. Obviously, for the season, you're looking to take that down once or twice and you're good to go. You're golden, right? But that's kind of where I'm at. And as far as like the single entry, 3-entry max stuff, or the 121 on DK, which is 500 people, 600 people or so, you don't necessarily have to be as goofy. I'm still kind of leaning out. And like one of the things Dave was talking about, and I noticed it last night, and we even talked about this in the show yesterday, as far as these Pittsburgh bats, there's not a ton of power, and there's not a ton of fly ball guys, right?
Right.
Santana can hit fly balls, and Zawinski can hit fly balls, but there are some fly ball guys. Obviously, got to hit fly balls, hit homers, and yesterday they scored, I think, 14 runs or something like that, and maybe there was 2 or 3 extra base hits. Now, I'm not saying you can't. Of course, they can hit 3 or 4 homers tonight, but it's not this great power offense. Reynolds and Zawinski, good ISO. Bay, pretty good ISO versus righties dating back to last season, but overall, it's not this lineup that's just going to mash, most likely, except it's in Coors.
The only argument to that point is that they're not priced to be a power team. If they were priced appropriately, then I would completely agree with you and Dave. But they're not. Yeah. They're not priced to hit home runs. They're like Brian Hayes is not priced. Like, it's fine if he gets 3 singles and scores 3 runs, right? That's fine. Like,
it's not going to win you a tournament, but it's not hurting you necessarily, if that's your point.
Yeah, I guess it might not win you like the $15, but I mean, it's if he gets you 16, 18 points, you at his ownership, you might need that.
Will he be the top 3 scoring third baseman? No. If he puts up 16 points,
probably not.
Like if you want to counter with that. So I see it both ways. I'm just playing devil's advocate on it. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. And he could put up 0 points, and he could put up 30. Like, these are all things that are possible that could happen. And somebody in chat was talking about how he's been bad. He has been bad, right? Dating back to last season, and the power has just not really been there. If you look at the isolated power on Plate IQ versus righties, in a pretty big sample too, 439 at bats, the ISO is 86. The WOBA was 273. Strikes out too much. Bunch of ground balls, not enough fly balls. Like, he's probably not the guy that's going to kill you, and if he's going to be super heavily owned, and of course, cash games, different conversation. You'll play him in your cash games. That's why, and we'll get, we'll dig into this stuff, but I love a guy like Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman is a big spend at third base. He's been destroying baseballs. If you look at the exit velocity and barrel stuff, barrel leaderboard on StatCast, by over 4 percentage points, Matt Chapman is leading the league in barrels over plate appearance to percentage at 23.5%. He's in Houston tonight. He's a righty. He's facing right-hander Jose Urquidy. Jose Urquidy is a reverse splits pitcher, and down the left field line there for Matt Chapman is those Crawford boxes. Really, really short porch. He's going to cost you, but I love the idea of, like, just as a thought. I'm not just kind of trying to derail the conversation, but for tournaments, I love the idea of, like, getting myself a Matt Chapman or being over the field on Matt Chapman. And, obviously Vladdy too, and Springer as well. Revenge game, number 27 for Springer. Probably not 27, but, he used to play for the Astros. In tournaments, I kind of want to get away from that. But at the same time, I can get the pitchers I want, and I can get hitters I want, and I guess I can get Hayes. He probably doesn't kill me, but I don't know if he wins me anything. So it's a push-pull. And I'm with you. I'm also playing those shorter contests, and I think ownership's going to really condense. And you know what?
He'll be so high. He'll be super high owned. Yeah, I like that Chapman call quite a bit. 5% owned versus 22% owned in the bat. Chapman versus Hayes.
Oh, I love that.
That's on DK anyway. He's only 1,000 more than Hayes on DraftKings anyway. So I think that's a great play. Not to skip ahead too much, to get the stacks, but I don't think anyone's going to be playing the Dodgers tonight, are they? I mean, I feel like that whole team is going to be just neglected. There's going to be a few teams that are neglected, but they seem like they have a pretty decent ceiling and extremely low ownership.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this, and, like, if you just have, like, general rules, and I think you're like me, where you don't make enough lineups to, like, necessarily employ these rules. But
right.
if you make 10, 12 lineups a night, right? Just every time, don't like, oh my God, the matchup's tough or the ballpark's bad. Just make a Dodger lineup. That's your general rule. You just make a Dodger lineup stack, and that's that. And, like, that's already paid off a couple times this year, right? In San Francisco with when Muncy had a couple homer game last night. Fab Five Freddie went yard a couple times. Starting versus lefty, right? Oh my God, you can't do that. But I think you're just supposed to, if you're making a certain number of lineups, there's some teams you're just supposed to make a stack of them every single night. And of course, if you're running 150, absolutely make 5 or 10 different variations of the Dodgers. No Will Smith, by the way. I think he's on the IL, and I guess he wouldn't play anyway today because it's Clayton Kershaw. He's got that personal caddy. And Austin Barnes. I think we just got a Pittsburgh lineup for what it's worth. Let's see if it was McCutchen is not in the lineup. Connor Joe is taking his spot in the lineup. Well, he's got to get his revenge, Connor Joe. Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Connor Joe, Santana. Like, this lineup stinks. It's not very good. Austin Hedges batting ninth. Marcano. I don't know why I'm going backwards now. Joe, Santana, Sawinski, Smith, and Jigba, Bay, Marcano. Was Marcano expected to be in the lineup? Did we have him in there? I don't know. I feel like I don't think Marcano, he was not expected either. I'm pretty sure. Ugh. I want to get under on this stuff, man. It's not great. What about Colorado, though? I mean, we haven't really even talked about Colorado. I mean, I know they're going to be just as chalky, but I mean, Velasquez is just, he's a gas can. He's a real gas can. Both these guys are just so bad. Lots of homers from Velasquez too. I think I'm not sure what side I like more, but again, they're both certainly in play. I'm not trying to talk anybody away, from Coors. Just having the conversation on both sides, I think is worth having. But I know Castro in that lineup as well. That's who it was. I think Castro is out for Marcano. I think, if I'm running, I actually have a bunch of lineups on FanDuel. I'm just screwing around in the $5 one on FanDuel. I'm making like 100 lineups there. And I have some Pittsburgh and Colorado, but I'm coming in under the field. One of my bigger stands, I guess we'll get to it, is the Braves against Snell. I know we kind of use there's Alex in chat talk about the Dodgers. Alex wrote a Stacks article today. Do check that out. That's a great article, by the way. I forgot to read that today. That's a really I don't know Alex at all, but that's a really great article. It's really good. I like how they do that. It's a good format. It's if you guys have premium, it's definitely worth checking it out. I was just going to say what it was. I don't want to give anything away. Give it away. Let the premium people. We give away premium all the time. When you have the chance to look at that, and maybe we'll do it today. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. but we'll give away another week free of premium. I might run a contest on Twitter. We'll do something like that. Pick a homer or something like that. But yeah, I got derailed there for a second. My apologies. Yeah, Velasquez, 1.32 homers per 9, dating back to last season. One of the worst pitchers in the slate. There's plenty of power on that Colorado side. They failed yesterday, but I just think you're supposed to get away from it. And there's no like amazing spot to get away from it. I know we're kind of talking. People, if you all know, most people know at this point, we have a conversation about the slate on at this time. When the crunch time crew comes in, when you got Potts, when you have Carty, when Ross holding it down, they're going to go around the horn, give their fair plays, position by position. But we're just kind of giving like a overarching overview, and you guys are welcome to join the conversation. Throw somebody out. Why aren't you talking about so-and-so? What about this guy? You're neglecting this one. It's a big slate. We're probably not going to get to everything, but want to talk about as much as we possibly can. And yeah, feel free to throw some names out there, some stacks, some pitchers. I think Atlanta versus Sale is one of the best things to do in tournaments tonight. I'm thinking about doing that in single entry. Snell on Fanduel might be the most popular pitcher over there. I'm watching for playing on Fanduel tonight just because his price is really down. They've been super reactive to early stats. Again, are you playing Fanduel tonight? Don't look, but if you're not, take a guess who the most expensive pitcher is on Fanduel tonight. I'm bleeding the witness here, but I'm kind of setting you up.
I'm not. I mean, it's got to be Strider, right?
Well, no, you would think it would be Strider, but it's not. Yeah, I was sitting there.
It's not.
Yeah.
I am playing on FanDuel, but I haven't looked. I was gonna start looking just right this second.
It's the Stroh show. Marcus Stroman is the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel tonight. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, that's you're not playing him.
I don't think so. Like he could go 7 clean against Oakland, but you're probably not playing him. I don't think you are. For what it's worth,
fine.
we haven't.
No way.
I think Snell, the last I looked, was the most popular pitcher because he's not been good. I don't think he has a QS all season long. He struggled against these Braves earlier this season. Obviously, his issue is getting wild. It's just racking up a pitch count that's too enormous to even sustain or even knock out 6 innings. Let's see what we have as far as ownership. Our most recent batch. Yeah, they have Snell at 21% on FanDuel, Strider at 20%, Gilbert at 13%, Stroman at 7%, Kershaw at 6%. Yeah, we should have the conversation as far as pitchers. And since we're on it, I'll just throw out the ownership stuff on DK as well. Obviously, DK, you're getting 200 percentage points collectively as opposed to the 100. I'm saying words as I'm jumping over to DraftKings because I had FanDuel open and I guess I closed it by accident. Can I pivot to you? What do you have as far as ownership on DraftKings tonight when it comes to pitchers?
Well, I was on FanDuel, Dean.
Geez, this is why you have tabs.
I listen. All right, so the bat has Gilbert at 37%, Strider at 31%, Snell at 19%, Kershaw at 13%, Stroman, who's much cheaper on DK than he's on FanDuel, at 22%. And then Sale at 10, Montgomery around 11, Waldichuk at around 10, and then it drops off pretty heavily after that.
Have you locked in your pitchers, or you're still kind of figuring them out? Because I think it's
I really like
today as far as pitchers.
I think Gilbert's good chalk. After that, it kind of depends on if I can pay up for Strider or not. I'm with you. I'm not really into this whole Blake Snell situation against Atlanta, right? I mean, this is like, especially if that's going to be his ownership. Like if he's really going to be 20%, and he's probably going to be a little bit higher on FanDuel because he's cheaper.
He is, I think.
I'm all set with that.
By the way, not to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I don't know how you feel about umpire data. As far as neutral umpires, as far as this guy's got a pitcher's umpire, he's got a hitter's umpire. There's some that I care about, some I don't care about. But when it comes to Blake Snell, I would like to have. I want him to have a pitcher's umpire. I want those corners. I want a couple inches off the corners, right? Blake Snell, hitter's umpire, extreme hitter's umpire. So does Strider, by the way, for what it's worth. I'm a little bit less concerned with Strider, although we got squeezed in this last start. If you watch that last start in Cincinnati, you kind of got a job there. I'm not bitter about it. But Blake Snell, extreme hitter's umpire. He's easy to run on. 4 stolen bases so far yielded this year in 13 innings. The last 2 seasons, dating back to 2021. He's one of those lefties. Traditionally, lefties are good at holding on runners. Not Blake Snell. I think it's 30 or 31 stolen bases dating back to 2021. Acuna is going to swipe a bag. He's going to walk. He's going to swipe a bag. He's going to score a run somehow, or he hits a homer. He's going to score in the first inning, though. There you go. Yeah, how do you feel about that as far as the umpire stuff? Are you kind of with me where it depends on the pitcher? Because Snell really needs the edges if he can get them.
I don't worry too much about who the pitcher is. I kind of just use it as a tiebreaker. Like if there's like a, kind of a coin flip situation amongst a couple pitchers, I'm not really sure who I want to play, then I might use that as my tiebreaker.
All right, let's see. Alex, by the way, we love Alex and his articles. This is kind of a hot take. Strider is the best active pitcher in baseball. Now, is he saying that DeGrom is not active because he left yesterday with a wrist? Is he active or not active? Okay, yeah, somebody already asked him that. He's saying, yeah, so is he saying he's the second best pitcher? You know who's been great? Garrett Cole. Like he's kind of, it's weird. He's I don't want to say
he was only like 50% owned in the higher dollar single entry and like the 254 max. He was only 50% owned yesterday.
DeGrom?
No, Cole.
Did Cole pitch yesterday? I don't think he pitched yesterday. Yesterday was DeGrom, right?
2 days ago.
Whenever
he pitched the Twins.
Yes, the days all kind of meld together, but yeah.
Yeah. Like I was just surprised. No, DeGrom was 88% owned, 90% owned.
He was still fine, by the way, in his 4 innings, and like a lot of other pitchers didn't do great anyway. He was one of the top pitchers, as is, and I assume, well, we'll see. Precautionary reasons, they said it was a wrist, and what Dunning came in and pitched pretty well too. Yeah, that was a bummer, but everybody had DeGrom anyway, so it didn't matter so much. Hopefully, he gets healthy and comes back soon. I think I'm going to be under the field on Snell, over the field as far as the Braves, but I agree with you on Gilbert. I like Gilbert. I don't like saying the safest pitcher, but he feels like the safest pitcher, right? Ks are pretty good. They're not fantastic, but they're pretty good. The walks are good. Not going to walk the team. So if he's pitching well, he's got a chance to grab 7 innings if he's efficient enough. Kershaw's drawing on the slate. Full price for Kershaw in 2023. He's fine, but he's another guy they're not going to push too hard. He should be okay. I'm not picking on him. I'm probably not paying 10-1 for Kershaw. Is that a mistake?
I have no interest. I have no interest in Kershaw. I think he would be pretty close to a full fade if I was MMEing tonight.
I have our consensus rankings. Myself, Kirkwood, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. He'll be on obviously in a half hour or so to defend this list. Mr. Tuttle. Logan Gilbert's number 1, just as DK for what it's worth. Consensus value rankings when it comes to our pitchers. Then Strider, then Stroman. Stroman, again, distinctly cheaper on DK than he is on Fanduel. He's 8-8 on DK. Much more easier? That's not correct. More palatable. There you go. Then it's Kershaw, then Snell, then Chris Sale. Do you feel queasy yet with Snell and Sale? If you really want to live dangerously, pair those two together, Snell and Sale. Have a good time with that. What's the Chris Sale take? What are we doing with him?
I just can't do it. I want to say yes. I want to say, have some guts, play him at 10% owned. I think there's some really big issues going on there. I can't quantify that. I can't guarantee that. He has looked pretty bad, like really awful, and he's like a shell of himself. The problem is kind of, at what point do you play him anyway? Like 6,500, 6,200? Like where do you start enforcing his price regardless of how he looks?
The K's have been great, by the way. Just throwing it out there. The walks are too high.
Right.
10.9% walks is dangerous, but 29.7% K's is really, really good. Only one lefty as far as who he's facing, Max Kepler. Good luck to Max Kepler. Back in the day, like Sale left on left was just like an automatic out. Like you wouldn't put any lefties against him. Minnesota kind of dinged. I guess they just have to get him some work, but it's a pile of righties. As far as the leash, it's not that great, right? What do we have projected for pitches as far as Sale?
And the other thing is, the other case for Sale is that I'm not seeing a lot in this mid-range that I want to pitch. So if you're not doing, like, I don't really want to pitch Blake Snell. I don't really want to pitch Clayton Kershaw. Marcus Stroman on DK is okay. I don't really want to play Jordan Montgomery. So if I don't have the money for Strider to go with Gilbert, I'm not really sure where I want to go. So almost by default, you're probably going to have to land on some sale tonight if you're like 20 maxing, you know what I mean, or making like 10 teams. I think for single entry and 3 max, I don't know if I can quite do it, but I wouldn't necessarily fault you either.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I sprinkled him in a little bit on my my Fanduel lineups. Again, I made like 100 of them, so he got a taste just because you have to. There's not a lot to pick from. You can't just say I don't like this guy, I don't like that guy. At some point, you have to say I like this guy enough to click on him and put him in my lineups. And it's the pitching pool today, and this is not surprising because we saw some great pitchers going on Sunday. We saw some great pitchers on Monday. I think Saturday too. Eventually, the ones are going to run out. The twos are going to run out. And while we have some really, really good pitchers in Strider and Gilbert, it falls off a table pretty quickly. And you hold your nose and you click on sale, but I don't feel great about it. And I'm probably going to come in under. What do we have a sale for on DK? Also, he's getting extreme hitters umpire too. Worth noting. I think those are the two extremes. Sonny Gray and Chris Sale getting extreme hitters umpire. Extreme pitchers umpire for Josiah Gray, Clark Schmidt, Dean Kramer, and Jose Suarez. Do we care about any of those guys? Those are kind of guys in the mid-tier where, like, I don't want to play Schmidt or Kramer or Gray, any of those guys. But like you said, the mid-tier or even the floor is just bad. So, and like one of these guys, just how math works, somebody's going to rise up and pitch fine. You really can't predict it or see it coming, but that's just how baseball goes.
Once it be Waldichuk if you wanted to get down into the 6Ks. I mean, it's not going to be Kramer for me. It's not going to be Schmidt. It's definitely not going to be Suarez. I also think that Eovaldi might be somewhat interesting as well for GPPs, just because he's priced above Sale, but he gets a pretty decent matchup, and he does have a ceiling in a decent matchup. So I think he would at least be interesting in a large field setting.
He is the guy that I put down for, you have to answer these questions for the survey. You write down the survey, and that's who I put for like large field stuff. I think Eovaldi is my favorite, amongst a slew of guys that I don't like so much. But this Kansas City lineup, you want to think they're good. The stats say they're terrible. I like some of the pieces, Witt, Melendez, Perez, and Pasquantino. But after that, it falls off pretty quickly. Once upon a time, Framil Reyes had some power. I suppose he has it in his bat still, but now he's just mostly just striking out a ton. 34% strikeouts dating back to last season, right on right. There are some annoying bats in there. Nicky Lopez, not a lot of power, but of course he'll just ground out or pop up, that kind of thing. Doesn't always strike out a ton, but there are some Ks too. And I think last I checked, and I was looking at it this morning, I want to say, this isn't against right or left, but as far as WRC Plus collectively so far this season, the season's young, but they're the worst team in baseball, the Royals. 59. And if people don't know what that means, WRC Plus 100 is average. You're an average ball club if you're at 100, right? It also, I think it throws out the ballpark too, right? I don't think it somehow it makes all the ballparks equal with some sort of math. But if you're 59, that means you are 41% worse than the average baseball team, which is bad. It's not good. So yeah, I'm fine picking on Kansas City. I think Eovaldi's interesting. Fair bit of Ks. He's not going to walk anybody. 23% Ks, 4% walks, a lot of ground balls. 47% is pretty good. I think is that the ballpark that's looking pretty good according to Weather Edge? I'm making this up. Yeah, Weather Edge likes that ballpark. Give it a refresh here, see if anything's changed. But weather looks pretty good as far as hitting baseballs in KC today. We have a 56-game sample here, Tim. 25% bump in homers, 11% bump in runs, 14-mile-per-hour winds out to left field, 79 degrees as well. It's not a great ballpark like standard as is, right? It tends to lean more pitching than hitting, but pretty good hitting environment.
This time of year, 80 degrees, like we'll take that all day, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
maybe sure. I'll take back my Eovaldi take.
Well, no, you got to hit the ball. I mean, if you don't hit the ball, it doesn't matter what
true.
temperature it is.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I have both sides of it for what it's worth. I have some Royals, and I have some Eovaldi. By the MJ Melendez is I was talking about guys that are hitting the ball hard this year. He's one of the top guys in the StatCast stuff. Average exit velocity, I think he was fourth. And if you look at average exit velocity right now, Matt Chapman number 1, Jock Peterson 2 and 3. Oh, I got to get rid of the sample size. I got to make it 25 people. That doesn't 25 at bats. Let's see what we get. Jock is in the DL, so he doesn't count anymore. Chapman, Melendez, Jorge Soler. He's been hitting the ball hard. Oh, Giancarlo Stanton always hits the ball hard. Patty the Tooth, Patty the Brain, Patty Wisdom, Matt Olson. DJ LeMahieu was kind of surprising. LeMahieu's on the board, hitting the ball really hard.
That's weird.
Corey Seager. Yeah, a lot of guys that are hurt, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's early season data. You don't freak out too much as far as the early stuff, but I did think that was interesting. Melendez hitting the ball hard so far this year. Other pitchers that you want to focus on? Anybody else you're kind of like want to enter the conversation? I'm trying to see if the chat wants to throw anybody out there. J3 says that Kramer's going to shove tonight. Maybe. Washington's terrible. How terrible are they?
He just has no strike. He's got no strikeouts though. I mean, he's like a 13% strikeout guy. So I mean, he might get away with, run prevention against the Nats, but he's not going to have much of a ceiling at all. So I don't know. Like, I guess you could, but I don't really like the idea of that.
I don't love it. It just opens up some bats. It's probably more of I was going to say it's more of a FanDuel thing, but not really. Like the K's are bad. It's just Washington. You're betting against Washington, and that's usually a good bet, right? They're terrible. And you look on their play IQ stuff, and it's all red, with the exception of like small sample size, Stone Garrett, but not good. Even Meneses has fallen back a little bit as far as his power. Jason in chat, by the way, taking a victory lap because he said never 100% DeGrom. For the record, DeGrom was like actually good yesterday compared to everybody else. I think he was usable, and we're gonna. I guess the thought process was, what if he gets hurt? I guess. But even still, I mean, come on. That was like the worst possible. Well, not the worst possible outcome. It's baseball, but yeah. Cam the Man saying it feels like a Strider, Stroman, Gilbert day. That's the best. That's the best stuff, right? I think.
Yep.
Yep.
I
do you feel great about
argue,
that?
I can't argue with that take. It's just, how chalky do you want to be? If you play those guys and then you start filling it in with these cheap Coors bats, I mean, you're going to be eating a ton of chalk. But yeah, those are the 3 best pitchers on DK as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you can play them and play the Braves. And there you go. You can do that.
Or we've been kind of bearing the lead in terms of who I think is the best contrarian stack. Is Baltimore.
Can I guess?
Baltimore.
Geez. Yeah. I like Baltimore. Josiah Gray is obviously uber prospect at one point. I think he was the prize return in the Trey Turner deal, if I'm not mistaken. Ton of power he's yielded. I think he's been a little bit better from a power perspective, but it was hard to get worse, right? I like Baltimore as well.
If you pull up our DraftKings top MLB stacks and stack values opto percentage page, Baltimore top opto percentage. And getting a really decent positive leverage score. So I mean Baltimore I'm really conflicted because I think Coors is going to smash today. But are they going to get the home runs like we're talking about? Like are they going to get like these massive raw points that you need to win a slate at their ownership? I'm not sure. But Josiah Gray just loves giving up home runs. And if people are going to forget,
love it. He does it, but he doesn't love it.
Right.
I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Baltimore is just. I mean, Ryan Mountcastle is probably my favorite kind of like if I had to make like a sneaky home run call, Ryan Mountcastle would be it today. Like I love, even if you don't want to like full stack them, I think that you should have like a couple one-offs there, or maybe just like a 3-man stack of Baltimore today. And I would do that. I would do that even in like 3 max.
The Reds just signed Hunter Green, 6 years, $53 million. That's, I mean, if he's anywhere near where we think he can go, that's a really good deal for the team. Obviously, you know, pitchers, arms, and the way he throws, it could be trouble. But yeah, that seems like a team-friendly deal. My first thought on Hunter Green.
Yep.
Yeah, good for him. Is he okay? Didn't his leg get hit yesterday or something like that? Hope he's fine.
I missed that. I missed that if he did.
Yeah, I think it was on a different slate. It wasn't on a main slate or something like that, but he's on my dynasty team or something that nobody cares about.
How many leagues do you play in, Dean? It's like every time I talk to you, got some league, some dynasty thing going, drafts. I mean, how many best ball teams have you drafted for NFL already?
I've drafted 0 NFL best ball teams. I've not done that just yet. I have 3 baseball best ball drafts, and I have 1 that's a dynasty keeper that's for hockey, and 1 that's a dynasty keeper for baseball. And yeah, I got roped in, and you know, a friend of yours is trying to fill a league, and like, hey, you want to? Sure, why not? Let's have at it. It's not really my world, but it's kind of fun, I suppose. But and it was also an auction. I love auction drafts. Those are just fun to participate in. But Corbin Carroll scratched, apparently, according to Derek in chat.
Yeah.
I
love.
We should mention,
Carroll, but he's kind of off the board today for me.
That leads me to the next question. Somebody asked, you know, I prompted him. I said, hey, if there's something we're not talking about, let's talk about him. We didn't talk about Jordan Montgomery. He's kind of expensive. You know, now no Corbin Carroll. You know, that was left on left. I'm not really sure who's jumping in for him, but how do you feel about Montgomery? The team total in Arizona, pretty paltry at 3.5. It's a little bit pricey. He's fine, though. He's a good professional pitcher, just not spectacular.
He falls to the bottom of that top tier for me. I'm not really that excited about it. 11% owned, it looks like. I would come in under that for me if I'm making a lot of teams today. I would be surprised if he flashes a high enough ceiling to really break it, you know, for you. So I would pass.
One more, I think we kind of neglected, but I feel like we did it intentionally. I'm not sure. I don't want to frame it. Frederick's asking you about Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, whose name is an oxymoron. There you go. Spelled a little differently, but I know what you're saying. He had that, 13 strikeout game earlier in the year. The problem with him is, they just don't let him go. Just a general, team philosophy, mostly for Minnesota pitchers, right? They just don't really go a third time around. They don't get pushed too hard. Sonny Gray, is he somebody you're considering? I don't think I'm going to get to him.
I've played him the last 2 starts, and it's, you know, been quite good. But I think this is where I would jump off. But, you know, I don't have a lot of confidence in pitching today, you know? So I keep saying no, you know, except for to these chalky guys. And if you want to spread out your pitching pool to guys like Sonny Gray, then you know, go for it. But, you know, he's definitely not, if I'm playing 1 to 3 teams, there's no chance I'm playing Sonny Gray. So I think he's okay. Derek Carty has him as low as, you know, the Coors guys. And he's got an amazing projection system. Yeah. He's the 3rd worst pitcher.
Why? How many pitches is he throwing according to Carty? That's got to be a pitch count thing, right? That seems weird.
I'm not sure, but
how can he be 3rd lowest on some of the names we threw out there that
we have him for? He's got 78 pitches.
That's what it is, I suppose, right? We're not expecting a lot of pitches out of him. That still seems like. I mean, look, I'll take him straight up over Trey Jameson or Colin Ray. No.
I completely agree with you. I'm just giving the people the facts. You know,
I'm not besmirching Carty for the record.
Right. I agree with you, but I mean, I'm just giving some people a peek inside of one of the best projection systems out there. So that's a pretty bad projection.
Some questions in chat. Yeah, feel free to throw them out there. Carty's going to be on in 10 minutes or so to defend his Sunny Gray take. Of course, you get Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, 2-time millionaire winner. And we probably have some new people that have jumped in since I last mentioned it. We do have the $1 Million Musings. Yesterday, we gave you a free alert that the musings will be coming out free on Tuesday. It is now Tuesday, so that article is free. I will drop it in chat. Read it at your own leisure, or during the show if you guys can multitask. You're better than myself and Tim. I do see some questions I want to get to. Baltimore lefties in a stack. AJ's asking about. I assume you like the Baltimore lefties.
Yes.
I think you like Baltimore just as a general thought.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes. How about as a one-off? Here you go. We have Frederick's talking about that pitch count. 83, 98, 78 his first 3 games. Sawinski or Franmil Reyes as a one-off. So that tells me he's probably he's not running a Pittsburgh stack.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
Reyes or Sawinski.
Well, if you're stacking the Pirates, wouldn't it be Sawinski?
It wouldn't be a one-off because, like he said,
he wants okay. He wants.
Yeah, would you go? Would you guys go Sawinski or Reyes? I was saying that means they're not running a Pittsburgh stack because it's a one-off.
Then Reyes definitely as a one-off. You don't want to. I really don't think people should be one-offing these chalky, cheap Coors guys.
Jeremy wants to know what's wrong with Colin Ray on FanDuel. I mean, like this guy bounced around. I think he pitched over in Asia, I want to say. He came back and he pitched well in his first game back, and we haven't seen him in forever, and good for him. But, like, he got super lucky as well. And I actually think Seattle, the slate is loaded with stuff you can think about playing. But I'm more likely to play the Seattle bets than play Colin Ray. I'm just not buying his last start. Again, congratulations. He was fine. But no Colin Ray for me. How about yourself?
No, that would be a strong pass for me.
Alex is saying Ryan O'Hearn is the nuts. And, that's what. Let's pull up the Carty bat as well, because what am I going to say about Ryan O'Hearn? You know what I'm going to say about Ryan O'Hearn. What am I going to say? Come on, tell me what I'm going to say.
I'm not sure. What are you going to say?
I mean, Ryan O'Hearn. Let's see, where is he batting in this lineup? I assume once a lefty comes in, Ryan O'Hearn's gone. Right, he's gone from this game. He's getting the hook, and that means he might only get 2 at bats when he's sitting in a 9-hole.
Sure.
Right? Are we getting 3 times around a Josiah Gray? Almost definitely not. Now, that doesn't mean a lefty's automatically coming in, but if a lefty comes in, the situation calls for it, O'Hearn, get out. I'm not sure who's in the bench today. I haven't done the math. I haven't figured it out as far as Baltimore, but I would imagine there is a righty hitter. What is O'Hearn? Is he the actual DH, or is he playing in the field somewhere? And I also want to see what Carty has as far as the pinch hit risk for O'Hearn, because we saw that a ton in Kansas City as well. I know it's a different organization, but same sort of thought process, right? Whenever a lefty comes in, he's gonzo. So, of course, if he hits a homer off of Josiah Gray in his first at bat, who cares? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Let me see if I'm curious what we have as far as the actual position that he's playing. If he's DHing or he's in the field.
12% pinch hit risk, which actually is lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's lower than I thought it would be too. If the book is open and I can bet 9-1 and I'm getting pinch hit for, I'll bet 8-1 on it. I'll bet on that. Is the book of Carty open? Just not taking shots, obviously. I think it's a little bit higher than that. Let's see. What else am I? Boss Bro wants to know if Sale is broken. Like, he's getting strikeouts. I don't know if he's getting strike. I mean, I don't know if he's broken or not. But
I will say this: that I mean, if Sale's really going to be 10%, I mean that's fine. If you want to like reach that ownership percentage or go a little higher, I think that's okay. He's just not somebody that I would go crazy over. That's all.
Let's see. Vinny P is, according to Cam, Vinny P is going yard today. I'll just note, I like Vinny P. And today is Tuesday. So is it Tortellino Tuesday? What Italian ingredient is it today? What day is it made? Or is that Thursday? Is tortellini both days, both Thursday and Tuesday? How does that work? You know?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I can't think of another T that's Italian. Tiramisu, right? There you go. Maybe it's Tiramisu Tuesday.
There you go, Dean. That's pretty good, Dean.
All right. I feel like nobody's indifferent about tiramisu. Either that's one of those, either you love it or you hate it, right? There's nobody's like, take it or leave it.
It's love
a strong line.
I love it. I think it's
you're proving my theory.
Yeah.
There you go. A wisdom, yeah. Patty the Tooth, of course. He's another guy that's well positioned for homers. Let's see. I see people in chat talking about. I was going to say that just Vinny is facing a reverse splits pitcher, so typically the righties actually have a better chance to get to Eovaldi historically than the lefties. Not that Vinny can't get to him, but just sort of throwing that out there. What else is going on in the chat? Do we have Gray's K percentage? I guess K percentage on the season. Well, J3, just go to the Plate IQ. There are different ways to get such things, but you go to Plate IQ and you put it on 2003, and we can get his. You can stretch it back to last season. I like to look at like last year and this year combined. I'll look and see if anything's changed, but overall, I kind of like to see a bigger sample if I can get one. Gray this year.
Did you say that you wanted to go back to 2003?
Oh, I was talking about Miguel Cabrera specifically. No, you caught me. Cabrera in 2003 was amazing. But yeah, I watched him at a homer off of Roger Clemens in Marlins Park back in the day, and that was super exciting in the World Series.
They won the World Series. They won the Marlins won the World Series in 2003, right?
Dude, I was at that game. Yeah, 1997 and then 2003. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was at the yeah. It was good times. Remember, Clemens swore he would never come back, and then he came back, and Susie Waldman just completely lost herself in the Yankee booth. I may get too specific at that, but remember, he came back a couple years later with the Yankees, or maybe the Astros. Might have been the Astros. Maybe both. Not sure. Sonny Gray this season, 27.9% as far as the strikeouts. Walks too high at 10.3%. Favorite stacks that we haven't talked about that's worth mentioning? What do you have for me?
Well, we haven't given much love to the Yankees, right? I mean, if we're gonna completely forget about amazing offensive teams, I think the Yankees should be included, right? I mean, they're one of the best, if not best, offensive teams in baseball. Aaron Judge, currently at 7.5% ownership, Dean.
Yes,
I'm all about that. That's pretty tough to get away from. You should definitely be getting overweight that in tournaments. That's the type of guy that you can one-off, right? Like, I mean,
yes.
If you're going to be one-offing a low-owned Aaron Judge, yes, do that in large field GPPs. Absolutely, 100%. Do that in single entries, whatever contest you're in. If he's going to be that low-owned, you should be getting to Aaron Judge 100%. Same. I mean, in my opinion, the Yankees bullpen is great, but in my opinion, same thing goes for the Angels, right? I mean, you're going to be getting a 6% Ohtani, a 3% Trout,
yep.
A 1% Taylor Ward, a 1% Hunter Renfroe. Like, I wouldn't stack the Angels because the Yankees bullpen is amazing, but getting a couple one-offs here and there, I mean, those are the type of guys that can win you that $15 tournament. I mean, it's like, because they're going to be so low owned.
I missed that Peraza got called up for the Yankees. I missed that. I guess it just happened. He's playing today for the Yankees. In spring training, Peraza was battling. I think he was battling with a spot for Volpe. If I'm not mistaken. They're both in the lineup today. Peraza in AAA last season, big prospect for New York. 19 homers, 33 stolen bases last year in AAA. So far this season, unspectacular. 5 swipes, no homers. But yeah, and I imagine he's super cheap, right? Yeah, he's 2.8 on DK. So sure, include him in your Yankee stacks. It looks like is it no Torres today? So no Torres and no Stanton. Stanton's on the IL as well.
Torres, I think, is batting 4th.
Oh, did I read that wrong? Okay, then my mistake.
Or am I reading it wrong?
I don't know. Let's just confirm. If we only can go to the RotoGrinders lineups page, we can confirm
that's what I'm on. It says Torres is betting 4th.
Okay. I saw something that said that Torres is getting the day off. So yeah, somebody's lying to me. Oh, day at DH. I didn't continue reading. Reading is hard because I was listening to you and I couldn't multitask, unfortunately. So he is playing baseball. He's playing a half a baseball game, I suppose. Hey, what we haven't done this year, we should bring back is like the stack game where we 5 is like you love it, 1 you hate it, 3 you're kind of indifferent to it. It's not tiramisu. Let's play the stack game, or if you want to give people some homers, which do you prefer? It's your choice. We're going to lead into the Crunch Time crew in a few minutes. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. You got Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. You have Derek Carty as well. You want to give the people homers? You want to play a stack game? You want to do both? How you feeling?
Well, I do want to say that Orioles would be a 5 stack for me, and Mountcastle would be my favorite home run call.
You're just covering both of them.
Yeah, just real quick. I really think that some more love needs to get to Baltimore today. I'm not going to play Coors with this game because I really think it's up to people's risk tolerance, contest selection. There's a lot of different factors about if you want to play Coors or not. I guess my take on Coors would be the larger the tournament, the less I would get to Coors.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to get unique enough and to get the ceiling to win one of those really, really top heavy, low dollar tournaments. And I certainly would not, one off some of these cheap pieces on either site. I think that's a bad play. I love the Yankees quite a bit. I'm trying to think if there's some kind of other values. Oh, well, we talked. I think you made a great
so the
point
way
about
the stack game would work, Tim, I would just throw a stack your way. I'll just make it. I'll just kind of I throw it up. You can kind of slam it down. But I do want to note, Dodgers stack just took a hit. Mookie Betts placed on a paternity list, so I assume he's not playing baseball tonight unless he can multitask. And no, all right, we'll stop doing that. But he's not playing baseball tonight. No lineup just yet as far as the Dodgers. And Brandon Donovan was scratched for St. Louis. The bar of Newt. The Newt bar is leading off now for St. Louis. I'm not sure if he was before. I don't think he was. I assume it was Donovan leading off. So now Newt bar leading off for St. Louis. Who have we not talked about? This one, Atlanta. Atlanta.
That's what I was just going to bring up. I think that you made a great point stacking against Blake Snell if he's going to have ownership. I think that's a really, really great play.
So put a number on it. 1 through 5. 5, you love it. 1, you hate it. 3, you're indifferent.
I think 4.
Yeah, is Outman leading off for the Dodgers? That's what they're talking about in the chat. That could be interesting.
He is, yes.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
It's a cheaper stack. Do we have an official lineup, or it's just we just have Outman leading off? Oh, here it is. Outman, Freeman, JD Martinez, Muncy, Hayward, Vargas, Peralta, Rojas, and the personal caddy, Barnes. Okay. I mean, I could still stack them, right? We're still okay stacking the Dodgers?
Yep.
Yeah. Slight hit, obviously, but
I think now I would rate Atlanta over LA, whereas before I think I had them flip-flopped. But I would now I definitely would get to Atlanta over the Dodgers.
Toronto's the other one I want to get over on. I talked about, Urquidy in the reverse splits and the power righties here for Toronto, and of course the Crawford boxes lurking out there in left field. I talked about Chapman, and they got to do a left. Well, are they doing left on left? No. Right, left, right. Chapman batting 5th, but Springer, Bichette, Vladdy, you can get some Varsho as well, obviously. Chapman, even Kirkwood, Alejandro Kirk. Espinal in there for Cavan Biggio. Can't get excited about that. I suppose that's where you click the only in stacks button on a guy like Espinal. Dubon is leading off for Houston. I don't know if he's a cheapie you want to get a taste of. Bassett, the Hound's been rough so far this year too. We haven't really talked about the Astros. That's one of those games that good offenses, some good individual pieces like Jordan. We haven't really talked about Tucker. We haven't really talked about. We barely got to the Yankees and the Angels. A lot of studs in that game as well. It's a loaded slate. And I guess I mentioned Seattle in passing, but like Seattle's not getting played, right? They're nowhere near any kind of ranking. But if you're running out a bunch of stacks, I think Seattle's got to be like on your list. Yes.
I mean, we're just going to see so much condensed ownership on Coors that like you can get these amazing stacks at like next to no ownership. Like you just see all these projected ownership of these stacks, and it's like they're all extremely low. I mean, all these stacks are viable.
Yeah, like don't get on Twitter and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I got J-Rod at 3%." Like, yeah, that's how math works. That's just how it goes. So TJ's not in the show, but Spidey apparently is available. He is lurking. If we get 33 more likes, he's going to drop some of his Spidey bombs. And I know Spidey's been hot, so shout out to Spidey. Shout out to those Spidey bombs. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Just a second. Y'all are going to get 2 of the best in the business and Derek Carty, and you're going to get Dave Potts. They're going to get Roth as well. I don't think anything has changed as far as weather, but there's wind and there's other things of that sort. There's dew points. Anything that's worth noting, Roth will point it out, see what's going on as far as the weather edge tool. Yeah, looks pretty clean when it comes to rain. But if anything is lurking, Roth will be on it, taking you guys up the lock. Actually, you know what? I just realized something. They're not coming on until like 10 more minutes, right? What time are they coming on? Why is my head saying they're coming on at 6:05? We got to go like 6:15, don't we? Now we got to stretch. Oh my God, I was like rush. Producer Steve, let me know. 6:15. It's been a while since you've had a show at like 7:05. It's throwing me off. It's my first show. What do you want from me? Oh wait, I've been doing this for like 8 years. Never mind. You figure one of these days I would figure it out. But I think we're going for like 10 more minutes here, Tim. Fire off some questions in chat. We'll continue the stack game as well. Where would you put Baltimore? You mentioned Baltimore, liking them so much. Did you have them at a 5? You were talking about Baltimore at 4.
Baltimore's definitely a 5 for me. They are who I am just conflicted about playing Baltimore over Coors. I can't decide. I haven't made up my mind yet. But if it's not going to be Coors, it's going to be Baltimore.
I love Cedric Mullins. Love him. Gunnar, hasn't been spectacular this year, but he was my sneaky homer call today in the survey. Is that sneaky enough? I don't want to I was going to put Matt Chapman. I'm like, that's not sneaky at all. He's like my tournament guy. But Gunnar Henderson buried in the 7-hole against Josiah Gray, but I like him a good bit. We talk about the lefties versus Gray, and of course this ballpark is it's a bit of a jump as far as from a hitting standpoint, especially with Baltimore.
Chapman's going to be lower owned than Gunnar.
Oh yeah, no, because here, especially on Fanduel, because if you do this, you go over to Fanduel, right, and their third baseman. You ready? We'll do the rankings. We don't go around the horn. They're going to go around the horn about 10 minutes or so, but just for the sake of the conversation, Tim, and we still live in the world of a salary cap. Obviously, we go to third base. Look at third baseman on Fanduel. Ryan McMahon is 3.2 in Coors Field. Ridiculous total. Great matchup. Brian Hayes is 2.9. Bobby Witt, 3-1. Reverse splits pitcher. Good weather. And Bobby Witt, really good. Gunnar Henderson, third base eligible over there. He's 2.8K. It's really cheap. Muncy, 3.6K. Eugenio Suarez, 3K versus Colin Ray, who's, I don't think he's anything special. Patty Wisdom, 3.3 in Oakland. Now 4.5 for Matt Chapman. 4.5 against the respectable pitcher. Like historically, Urquidy's like a respectable pitcher. He's not getting any ownership. And I was talking before about just walloping baseball so far this year. And also Austin Riley, like barely on the board. Didn't mention him against Blake Snell. Somebody asked us yesterday, I'm not sure if you're watching the show yesterday, like, if you stack Atlanta, do we have to play Riley? Like, we just X him out? Why are you Xing out Austin Riley? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
I didn't understand it. But Riley is spectacular. Absolutely, by all means. Third is loaded is kind of the point I was making. And there's a lot of salary savers, especially on FanDuel. But where do we have his ownership at, Chapman? And again, you're gonna get a lot of guys loan because it's 11 games. I think it's 11 games, right?
On FanDuel, Chapman's going to be like 1%.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
But on DK, he's going to be 3%. He's going to be 3%, and Gunner's going to be 15%.
Let's see. Steven's saying no one mentioned Houston. Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned them in passing, and I hate just like mentioning everything because then it feels like you're not really whittling stuff down. But it's up to others to decide, right? There's a lot of reasonable options. Who are the teams that you would just cross out and say no? I'm not stacking these X number of teams. Who are they? Like if you're running 150, you still wouldn't stack anybody. I've heard Dave come on here sometimes and say I have at least one stack of every team. I don't know if he's going to say that tonight. But
it wouldn't surprise me if he said that tonight. But for me personally, I don't have a lot of interest in pitchers or hitters in the Arizona-St. Louis game. I think that I would not have any San Diego hitters. That is not a hot take, I understand. And I would not have any Mets hitters. I would not have any Oakland hitters. I'd have very, very, very few Cubs. I think that's about it.
You don't like the Cubs, huh? Alex in chat, by the way, I don't know if you read his article today. You said you didn't. He's going to have some Cubs, I think. He just mentioned that he's going to have some Cubs. I assume Wisdom will be one of his Cubs.
I do usually read that article, too, and I wish I had. But yeah, it's a good article.
They're asking about cash, by the way. You're going to play Coors in cash? Yes. I just ran some optimal lineups in baseball. I know optimal baseball is kind of weird, but you know how that works. Strider and Gilbert. Pardon me. Oh, I got the. Can you jump in for a second? I have to sneeze.
Yeah. For cash, it's definitely going to be Strider. It's definitely going to be Gilbert, and I would imagine you're going to be playing at least 6 members of the Coors Field game in cash on both sites. They are so ridiculously cheap. They're very, very easy to fit. So I think cash is pretty easy tonight. Like you're getting to guys like Brian Hayes. You're getting to guys like Profar, Connor Joe on DraftKings, Sawinski. Any of these guys are easily cash viable.
I ran 38. Thank you. I ran 38 optimal lineups on DK. I added some juice to it as far as some variants, but Gilbert and Strider 1-2 as far as pitchers. For what it's worth, a Snell getting 42%. I would try to avoid playing him in cash personally. I would play Gilbert and Strider, and as you talked about, the very first one is a core stack. And for the record, you're not looking to stack in cash. If it happens organically, so be it. And that's what's happening here. Like, you don't need to stack in cash. It's not like the way you're playing it out, but a lot of times just sort of happens that way because you're looking for the best possible bats, the best possible position, and many times it's a bunch of dudes on the same team.
If it's going to be a 13 total, guess what? You're going to get a ton in optimals. You're going to get a ton in cash games. It's just going to happen. At 13 totals, a 13 total.
So it took me 3 or 4 lineups until I finally got a player that's not in Coors in these optimal lineups. You want to guess who it is? It's somebody that we've talked about. I talked about definitely wanting more than the field. That is possibly going to hit a jack and swipe a bag. At least swipe a bag. We'll see. He's pretty expensive, but you have the money to make it work. He's leading off.
Acuna?
There it is. Yeah.
Love
Acuna tonight versus Snell for sure. Sonny wants to know if we're in the marine layer season. We got to get Boggs Light on that one. That says area specialty, the marine layer out there in San Diego. I guess that's Roth's specialty. He'll touch on it as well if it's marine layer time. They're talking about in the chat, like, wow, these Cubs can't possibly be this low owned. Well, I mean, it's just how math works, man. And that's just like, you're going to find a lot of good players that are just not going to be owned.
So many good players tonight are going to go ridiculously low owned.
We have Wisdom at 5%, Horner at 9%, Swanson at 4%, Suzuki at 4%. That's just how it is, man. Mancini at 3%. Somebody asked me earlier about Yan Gomes. He's fine in a stack. I'm not singling out Yan Gomes, but whatever, he's okay. Is that an official lineup? I gotta have a refresh. Do we have a Cubs official lineup or no?
I don't think so.
That was the projected lineup, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wanted to see if we have any new lineups coming in. The last thing I have is the Dodgers. Came in 11 minutes ago. Is that correct? Yeah. Again, no bets if you guys are just tuning in now. Any more homers? You gave what? Vasquez versus Sale. That's a revenge game, right? And I think it's Stevie that always talks about it. He
does.
Well,
yep.
Like catchers against their old pitchers. But how much has Vasquez actually caught against Chris Sale? Was Chris Sale ever really healthy? I guess a few times, I suppose. But
yeah, I bet he's caught him quite a few times.
I mean, I don't know how to quantify that kind of stuff, but hey, I guess it has some value theoretically. You know what the guy throws, you know their tendencies, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Is this first blood revenge game? I believe first time back in Fenway on a new team.
I believe that's true.
Don't know how to quantify that either.
I don't have a problem with Vasquez. I would just make sure he's part of a twin stack.
I was looking at the Twins, and I'm like, I like Correa. I like Buxton. Michael Taylor, every once in a while, he pops off and hits a couple homers, that kind of thing. Otherwise, he's striking out 17 times. He's got power, and the monster's right there. I guess he's in your stacks, and he's super cheap.
Donovan Solano, 2.1K leading off.
First base and first base only on DK. It's just like, really? This is the guy we want at first base? Donovan Solano? This is like when I get mad at managers. It's like, it's your choice. You're actively deciding, I want Donovan Solano to be at the plate more than Byron Buxton. That's my decision as manager. I'm professional. I think this guy should hit more than Byron Buxton. It's an outrageous decision, is my point. But what do I know? I'm just some dope, on the interwebs. But are you with me on this, or you think Donovan Sloan is a smart choice?
I agree with you. That doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, and like the Angels, we're playing. What's his name? I don't know if it's Neto or Neto. Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get Zach Neto, the dude nobody's ever heard of until 3 days ago. He should hit more than Ohtani and Trout, right? That makes a lot of sense. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. We have the Crunch Time crew lurking. We have Kevin Roth. We have Dave Potts. Carty just finished his hair. He's good to go. What's up, Roth? How are things in your world?
Things are good. I liked the Carty dig there. That was very nice.
No, I'm just jealous, to be honest. Like, it's fantastic.
Why is that a dig? That'll look good.
What did you define it once, Carty? As a hair system? Is that what you said? Is that what it's called? I can't remember how you worded it one of these days, many years ago.
We all have a hair system, just some of them don't work as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, Carty. But it's been a while, Carty. I feel like we have not had the. We have to instigate and stir the pot here a little bit, Tim. We have not had the Carty versus Potts fight yet this year. Is this only the second appearance with you two together? I feel like it's just the second time. Unless I missed one.
Second or third, yeah. There haven't been a lot yet.
You guys are not fighting yet. You're getting along too much. Hopefully, Roth, that's your job. You got to stir the pot. You got to instigate a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
It's early in the season. You wait till the dog days of summer. They're going to be at each other's throats.
All right, fair enough.
Pure boredom.
Yeah, exactly. Not a damn other thing to do.
Tim, you got anything for the boys here? Shall we step aside and make way for crunch time?
No, I think we're good. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us for the first hour and 15 minutes, hour and change. We're going to hand it off now to crunch time. You get two of the absolute best in the business. Two-time millionaire winner, Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. His article is free. We'll drop it in chat one more time for the people if you have not taken a peek at it. You got Derek Carty of the Blitz and the Bat. We're talking about the Bat today. And then, of course, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Very good stuff. As always, gentlemen, welcome to it. It is crunch time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and it is, as Dean mentioned, the show where we get two of the sharpest minds in the biz, kind of walking you through the slate up until lock and then through lock. Today, we are joined by, as Dino said, the one, the only, Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. If I look a little distracted, it won't be long. I'm just getting some Mookie Betts out of my lineup. But I'm doing well.
Pulling the Mookie boots. I assume he's not playing, and that's why
He
you're pulling
is.
the Mookie boots.
Yeah, he is not.
That's a good reason to not have him in your lineup. We got Derek Carty as well. Carty, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Been dealing with there was an issue with the bat that I'm trying to deal with. I think I got it, so I think I should be good, but I may need to just take a look at that in a couple minutes.
All right, just let me know. Cheese and I can BS basically the entire show if need be. We're here to talk some baseball, gentlemen, and as I mentioned, the show is sponsored by FanDuel, so make sure that you, my friends, are checking out the FanDuel Sportsbook. You can sign up on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. I think that's a good bonus. So you should be jumping on that. I tried to do the math in my head, like what percentage is that for free, and I failed. So it's a good bonus. Just do it. Sign up.
As far as you know.
As far as I know, if I could do the math, I could tell you exactly how good it is, but my brain's not working. Let's kind of dive into this slate, guys. Weather, not a concern. I like that. So we just get to play whoever we want to play. Let's start with some pitchers. Oh, by the way, one more like, and we get TJ's third Spidey bomb dropped in the chat. You might also get the Roth bomb Cyclone, which had you listened to yesterday, would have put you on Patty the Tooth Wisdom for going yard. So make sure you're hitting that like button for the free.
The Tooth is hitting the ball, for real. He is
good.
Playing for keeps this year.
Yeah, that dude.
There's going to be a lot of swings and misses, a lot of pulling his wisdom cage or whatever. But when he hits it, it's going to go.
TJ going back to the well, by the way, with Patty the Tooth Wisdom again tonight is his third Spidey bomb. Hey, let's dive into it. Cheese, good sir. Shall we talk about the slate, or should we just get to the arms?
So I guess real quick, big picture on the slate first. That's a great pitch as always. I don't see the Tooth is
I don't know.
right
It's
over
unhittable.
the top with that one every time.
It's unhittable.
It really
not
is.
sure what it is, but it's unhittable.
So, I mean, the big picture on this slate is you've got to make some kind of decision with every lineup about the Coors game. It's not just that it's Coors Field; it's the two worst pitchers on the slate, but it's still the Pirates and the Rockies. So it's a really weird situation. Like total wise, projection wise, and salary wise for the Pirate. Like if you just run a bunch of optimals, all you're going to get is Pirates stacks with some Rockies.
Yeah.
So you just got to make a decision like what you're going to do with that. We'll talk about it. I'm under the field on it because it's the Pirates and the Rockies, not because I don't think the game's going to go 9-7 or something. But I don't think that's necessarily a DFS have to have on this slate 9-7.
Okay, I do want to add to make it even spicier and juicier, along with the worst pitchers and in-cores and cheap salaries. It's also probably the best weather on the slate because it's 70 degrees and the winds are just ripping out to right at like 20 plus miles per hour. And it's already got the elevation boost and the winds and the temperature.
It's just a mess. And then if you click on ownership, like the bat ownership I'm looking at, I think the top like 9 players are in that game for ownership, and which they're going to be. Like it's just, it's a tricky situation. They suck, and yet does it matter that they suck against Urena and Velasquez and Coors? It doesn't, So we'll talk about it, but that's kind of the big picture on the slate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Well, let's then just get right to the pitchers. And Cheese, I will let you start with some pitcher talk here, and then we'll bring in Carty for some bat takes. Pretty
different with the slates because of the pricing.
And before you get going, I'm sorry, Cheese, real quick. Sure. Are we locking at 640?
No, 10 after. So those games are out.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, good to know.
Okay, so Spencer Strider's the only kind of name ace, and he is my favorite pitcher.
Clayton Kershaw is a name ace. Cheese, come on.
Never heard of him. It is. I do feel really bad for Clayton Kershaw. I still love the guy, and I still think he's really good. It's just we live in a world now where on FanDuel Marcus Stroman costs $1,000 more than Clayton Kershaw.
Oof, that's wild.
It's crazy stuff. I love Spencer Strider, and I think he's great. But salary is a thing if you're not just playing the Pirates. And I don't think you have to play Strider. He didn't end up anywhere near my highest on pitcher, even though I'm calling him my SP1. Mm-hmm. On FanDuel, you can get him, but you can also do whatever you want if you don't get him. So I think Logan Gilbert ends up being kind of the go-to on FanDuel. But even him at 97, we get to this funny situation. If you want me and Carty to argue, I don't know what he's going to actually say about Blake Snell. The argument would be, do you want to play a pitcher with this crazy range of outcomes on this slate? Well, he's 7,400 on FanDuel, which is ridiculously low for what his upside is. I mean, he has pretty close to Spencer Strider upside at $3,400 less. Personally, I'm on the Braves bats. That's equally as boom or bust. We don't know what Blake Snell's going to do. We kind of know what Marcus Stroman's going to do. We have no idea what Blake Snell's going to do. I think he's going to be popular on FanDuel, and I don't like that. He's the guy. I'm just playing the ownership game. I don't know on DK what I think the ownership's going to be, but I do think on FanDuel he's chalkier than I want. So I'm playing Chris Sale instead of him as the cheap guy, which I also don't feel good about. But I'd rather play a wild card cheap guy at 4% owned instead of 20% owned for sure. And that's kind of like on FanDuel, that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's up to Strider, down a little bit to Gilbert, or way down to Snell or Sale, and also Ken Waldichuk, who's more of a DK thing for me. I am playing him a little bit on FanDuel as well.
Okay, well, let's go to DK and walk me through the 2-pitcher scenario.
Yeah, it's so much trickier with Strider because Gilbert, Snell, Stroman, these guys are all like $2,000 less, and $2,000 is very useful tonight. So as much as I like Strider, I have a lot more Gilbert Stroman as the combo to start with. I would not argue with you if you want to play Snell instead of Gilbert Stroman. He certainly has more upside and more downside. Same thing there. I'm playing Sale ahead of Snell, and he's $900 cheaper. So give me give me Sale. And then I'm playing Ken Waldichuk because he's 6,100. And also talk about wide range of outcomes. Like, it's not that I think he's great or that he might not give up 7 home runs. The 6,100 is very useful on this slate. And he's at least supposed to be good and kind of has been good in little spurts. So I'm on board with a $6,100 Waldichuk. But Gilbert and Stroman ended up in more of my lineups than Strider because of that salary.
Okay. Any other names you want to throw in?
No.
Okay, that's kind of condensed, right? I mean,
It really is. But within that, like, they're all so very close in there. I guess I'll throw Nathan Eovaldi in there. But he's just kind of there.
All right, that's fair. All right, Carty, let's get your takes. All right, what are we doing on pitcher? What do you like, and what does the Bat X like?
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to fight with Cheese about, unfortunately. Like on FanDuel, Snell is so much cheaper than the other guys that, yeah, you can pay up to Gilbert. I probably wouldn't pay up to Strider because the Bat likes Gilbert more than Strider tonight. So I think it's Snell or Gilbert in your cash games. And then in tournaments, like, I'm totally on board with the Chris Sale thing as like the pivot off of Snell, because Sale only projects like 4 points lower and he projects for like a quarter of the ownership. So Sale is clearly the better play, and people are not going to want to play Sale. He has like an 11 ERA right now. But it's been 3 starts. Anytime an old pitcher has a few bad starts, people are like, oh, he's washed. We have someone in chat saying that Kershaw is washed. Like, no, it's probably just that he's had a few bad starts and some bad luck and he's fine. So Sale and GPPs, I like a lot. Waldichuk on DraftKings as a cheap guy in GPPs, I like a lot. Like Stroman is fine. He's so expensive on FanDuel that I think his ownership is actually going to be kind of low. So I'm probably more interested there in GPPs than I am on DraftKings, where he's kind of just a guy, like he's going to be fairly owned and whatever. In cash on DraftKings, you're playing 2 of Gilbert, Strider, and Snell, with Gilbert being a lock. So then you're really just deciding between spending up for Strider, saving 2K on Snell. If you wanted to play Gilbert and Strider, though, like, you can play a full core stack with them easily. So like you can pretty easily get up to Strider if you want to. Mm-hmm. Snell only projects like a point lower, so you can do that too. There's not really a right or a wrong answer. But those are really kind of the guys. I also don't mind Kershaw here. He's in a tough spot, hasn't been like awesome this year, and he's kind of expensive, but I think that's going to keep his ownership on the low end. So I'm okay taking a shot on him because his upside is as high as anybody in baseball ever. So yeah, that's kind of pitcher.
To follow up on what Carty just said, like, he kind of breezed by it, and it's the reason why this slate is so weird in tournaments. You can just play Strider, Gilbert, and 5 Pirates and 3 Rockies and be done. Yeah. And it's so tempting to do. And if you're just using an optimizer, you're going to get so much of that. I think you got to be careful. Do something different somewhere.
In cash games, that's what you do. Like, that's the answer, right? That is the correct answer to
that's
the puzzle.
What I would do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then in tournaments, you got to figure out a way to get different. Okay.
I believe
so. Let's talk about those ways to get different here. And we will start at the bats, because it seems like your pitchers aren't all that wild. So let's get to the bats here. And Carty, you can start us off. We'll get your cash takes, your tournament takes, just kind of all your plays at the catcher position.
Yeah. Are we talking stacks first, or we're just going to catcher?
Oh, yeah, my bad. Stacks first. Good call. Stacks first. Of course, you got the Colorado game.
Yeah. I mean, the Colorado game is just so much better than everyone else. The Bat has both of these teams projected for about 6.5 runs, and no other teams project for over 5.5. Like, they're both just so far and away better than everyone else. But like she said at the start, it's the Pirates and the Rockies, and it's baseball, and they're going to be extremely chalky, and you definitely don't have to play them. The Jays, the Orioles, the Yankees, like, they're all fine. I really like the Braves. Even though I like Snell, The Braves are going to give you
Did we
leverage
just
off them.
become best friends?
We
What is
might.
happening?
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yeah, like you can, because even though Snell is good, the Braves are good too, and they project well, and they're going to be low owned, and so you should definitely have a Brave stack.
Okay. Anything else? Any vomit stacks you want to throw in there, or no? You like where you left it?
I don't think you need to be that weird, because so much ownership is going to go towards the Pirates and the Rockies, and I mean the Braves are as weird as you need to get, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right, Cheese.
Yeah, same basic list. Like I said at the top, I'm officially way underweight on the Pirates and the Rockies, and I don't feel great about it. I'm going off this theory that this game can go 9-7 with a whole bunch of singles, and it doesn't really kill you. If everyone in this game, it's kind of like what you saw last night with the Pirates. Like, they scored like 13 runs or something with 16 hits. They had 2 extra base hits from guys in the starting lineup, and nobody scored 20 points.
Yeah.
You don't need that on this kind of slate. So I'm underweight. It's most of the teams that Carty named. I like the Blue Jays a lot. I like the Braves a lot. I like the Yankees a lot. Orioles. There's plenty of things, but you can just play the best teams, and no one's going to be on them because of the other spots.
Okay. Well, let's go position by position. Cheese, you get to lead us off. Talk a little catcher.
Man, I got hosed there. You were going to have Carty start at catcher, and now we talk stacks. Now I see what Carty's at. Now we are no longer.
Carty was like, wait a second.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do stacks first.
So I love Adley Rutschman, but he is 5,400. Catcher on Fanduel is not really a thing outside of stacks. I mean, Sal Perez is in my pool because he's cheap. Diaz is the obvious chalk at 3,700. I like mostly Rutschman and Perez to spend up to be different. I like Kirk quite a bit, 3,800. And then I'll just mostly go cheap in a stack, or maybe throw in a little like Higashioka or Vasquez just because. But ideally, like Kirk is kind of the direct pivot off of Diaz, or spend up.
Okay, very good. Carty?
Yeah, so Diaz, Rutschman, clearly like what she said. Diaz is your cash guy for sure. Rutschman, like I said, I like Baltimore stacks and tournaments. They're outside of Coors, there's probably like 10 viable stacks today, maybe 12, that are all just like very similar. And so you can definitely play your catcher in any of those. You can play a Royals stack, you can play a St. Louis stack, you can play Toronto. Over on FanDuel, Wilson Contreras is kind of interesting because he's 2.4K and he's the 3rd best hitting catcher in baseball. He's like basically as good as Rutschman, and the salary gap is like 1.5K, and that's silly. So even though you don't have to play a catcher, I think Contreras is interesting, and that'll certainly make your lineup different.
Okay, very good. Take me to first base, Carty.
If you can get up to Vladimir Guerrero, you should think about doing that, because he's really, really good, and it's a pretty good park for ready power. And so,
and I believe he has BVP. I really do.
Oh my God, of course he has BVP. Yeah, I mean, Urquidy's like fine, but he's like nothing special, and he's got a big reverse platoon split, and so that works in Vlad's favor. And if there was going to be one guy like outside of Coors that I might try to get to in cash, I think it's probably Vlad. And you can do that, especially if you go Gilbert Snell instead of Gilbert Strider. But if you're going cheaper, then you have Carlos Santana hitting cleanup in Coors for 3.4K, and that's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, like, you're just taking shots in tournaments. You can play a low-owned Freddie Freeman tonight because he's expensive and no one's going to play him. You can play a low-owned, Paul Goldschmidt. That's fine. So you really don't have to get too cute with it tonight. Play a Coors guy or be different by playing a good guy, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like Cheese is going to fully agree with you. But Cheese, your thoughts?
Yep. On FanDuel, Guerrero and Cron are only $600 more than Carlos Santana. So don't play Carlos Santana in cash on FanDuel. But yeah, on DK, you might need to, depending on what you're doing elsewhere. I definitely love Vlad tonight. I think he's far and away my top play at first base, and Freddie Freeman is second. You throw Ohtani in there on DK. Part of the reason I'm playing someone like Ken Waldichuk is just so I can play like Vlad at first and Ohtani in the outfield. Ryan Mountcastle is on my list as well. Other cheap stuff would be like Vinny P is playable, but spend up.
Yeah. Okay. Second base, Cheese.
It's not quite as awful as it usually is at second base, especially on FanDuel where McMahon's only 32, Semion's only 33. I think those guys kind of steal the show. I really like a pay up to be different with Gleyber Torres. At some point, even if you're playing cheap pitching, you do need something super cheap. And we've got, like on the DK side, you got two guys in the Coors game at flat out minimum salary, Marcano and Trejo. I prefer Alan Trejo for the Rockies. You also got Peraza at 2,800 or Vargas at 2,800. Most of my lineups have one of those guys either at second or short just to make everything else work, with Trejo being my preference. But Torres and Semien are the guys I want to play if I can.
Okay. Carty, you going cheap here as well on the cash build?
Yeah, it's what she's said in cash. McMahon on FanDuel easily. And then you can play him on DraftKings or you can go cheap to Marcano or Trejo. And then after that, it's other stuff to be different. You know, Albies in your Brave stacks for sure, or even just as a one-off, you know, that sort of thing. Gleyber Torres, Marcus Semien, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Third base, Carty.
Cabrian Hayes is the top overall third baseman, and he's not even remotely expensive. So you really want to get him in cash games pretty much everywhere. He's going to be like uber chalk on both sites. So in tournaments, you know, do something different. Like I feel like that's all we're saying. But like Austin Riley against Snell is going to be good. Rafael Devers is going to be good. I like Chapman a lot as a one-off or in your Toronto stacks. Like it's just that's kind of the thing. That's it.
Okay. Cheese.
I'm playing as little Cabrian Hayes as possible just because like he's the guy he can be pretty good. He'd go 3 for 4 tonight, but get drastically outscored by someone like Devers or Chapman or Riley hitting 2 homers. So that's just what I'm hoping for. Obviously he is the best play for the salary. I also like Muncy and Suarez. Like that's just a lot of super big upside plays that you can get at low ownership because of the Hayes thing. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Take me to short.
This is probably the one spot where Coors bat doesn't pop, other than on FanDuel. Profar qualifies at short, and it's kind of a cash game guy. And then you might do the Trejo thing on DK if you're not using him at second. But the spend ups are Witt and Bichette. I like Bichette a ton in this spot. Correa is really cheap on FanDuel. You can do Dansby Swanson is pricier than I want, unless I'm doing a Cub stack. And then, you know, Volpe leading off is fine. He's fine. That's all I have to say. I don't love him, but he's fine. He's leading off for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. All right, Carty.
Same thing, really.
Yeah. It's just the build seems pretty damn straightforward.
Like this slate is just so straightforward in terms of like the actual optimal plays, and then it's really just like how you want to get different. And there's no.
But it's even straightforward in how you're getting different. Like it's just
What's funny about it? Everyone knows how to get different, and yet still nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to overthink it. You know, Profar on FanDuel or Witt on DraftKings, I think getting up to Witt makes a lot of sense, or down to like Volpe or Tovar or Trejo or whatever. Like it's all fine. And then you have your Bichettes, your Witts, your Correa, your Swanson, your, you know, whatever. Like they're all there. So that's the thing.
Okay, very good. Carty, outfield, please.
What do you know? Coors guys project well in the outfield too.
Yep.
Brian Reynolds is like one of the best hitters in baseball that nobody realizes one of the best hitters in baseball, but he's in Coors tonight, so everyone's going to play him because he's really, really good, and he's in Coors. We said the Rockies and the Pirates are pretty terrible. Reynolds is kind of like the exception to that. Like, he's really, really good. So I want to play some Reynolds for sure. Then you have Jack Sawinski in the same outfield, who's really cheap on both sites, but especially DraftKings. And so I definitely want to play Jack Sawinski. You have Profar on Fanduel, who, if you're not playing him at short, definitely you can play him in the outfield. On DraftKings, he's outfield only, and he's a good play. You have Marcano, who, if you're not playing him at second for 2K, you can play him in the outfield for 2K. You have Charlie Blackmon, who's fine. You have Connor Joe and Kanan Smith. Not even try to butcher that name. You have all the
Ninja. His last name is Ninja. Kanan Smith Ninja. I believe.
Is it really Ninja? That's awesome. I really hope that's true.
I made that
I'm
up.
going to pretend it is. Outside of Coors, though, it's kind of the same thing. Like, spend up to be different. Like Ronald Acuna, I've mentioned a bunch of Braves already. I like the Braves stack. Acuna is amazing. Aaron Judge is facing a lefty tonight and is not going to be overly high owned. Like, he's awesome. Yordan Alvarez, like all these guys, Mullins in your Baltimore stacks. Like that's how you do it.
Okay. Cheese, that's how you do it.
Yeah. I mean, the spend ups are so fantastic. Acuna, Judge, Alvarez, Trout, Ohtani. I mean, yes, I love it. Like, that's why I'm doing some like dirt cheap minimum salary middle infielders, just so I can play these guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a ton of ways to go, but I don't love the mid tier. So I really want to spend up, and even the like almost spend ups are great. Like Mullins, Tucker, Buxton, Springer range, who are like 35-ish on FanDuel and around 5 on DK. Those guys are all awesome. Whereas the kind of like 4K range on DraftKings is kind of blah. So I would rather just go way up and maybe down with one guy. A salary that jumps out, like Teoscar Hernandez on FanDuel, 2,900. There's always a few of those guys on FanDuel, a little too cheap. It's probably worth noting that Outman is hitting leadoff now for the Dodgers, but he's not really super cheap anymore. So he's not some kind of must play, but just a guy I like in tournaments. And then just throwing random non-Coors Field darts at cheap guys. Like you play like Franmil Reyes or Ozuna or O'Hearn, just hope you get a home run and hope the Coors guys just go 2 for 4 with singles.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough, guys. We have like 30 minutes until lock. I don't even know what the hell we're going to do. We can get some home run picks out of you. Cheese, you mind picking a random name out of all of the great random names?
I would like to, again, give you 42 random names.
Yeah.
For home runs.
Yeah. No one hates home run calls more than Cheese. And
that is true story.
I get it.
So on the obvious side, I will go with Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
On the also obvious side, but less obvious somehow, I'll go with Vladimir Guerrero. On the actual less obvious side, I will go with, I'm kind of looking around at something that's not a Jared Kelenic.
Okay. Very good. Carty, you got 2 or 3 for me?
Yeah, I mean, I like the guys that Cheese said, obviously. I'd throw Yordan Alvarez into the mix as like the super elite ones. I think Matt Chapman is always a good bet for a home run, but it's a good spot for it tonight. And then I think some of these Oriole guys are really interesting. Santander, Mountcastle, whoever. I think they're definitely
okay. Pause. That's actually a thing we can discuss real quick since we have a minute. Like,
please.
We're 3 games into the year, and Josiah Gray is all of a sudden a ground ball pitcher for 3 starts and throwing a different pitch.
Yeah,
there is some chance that he's not going to be a home run jabroni this year. We don't know yet, but that's like, if I was sure we were getting last year's Josiah Gray, I would be all over Baltimore.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of like, I want to wait and see because Josiah Gray is supposed to be good. So
yeah, he was a legitimate prospect. Yeah. Like he was one of the guys in the Trey Turner deal, right?
Yeah, I believe
he was
so.
Like the centerpiece of it. Like he comes with pedigree. His fastball is just terrible. But he's not really throwing it that much.
So he
this
added
year.
that cutter, which
He's doing the
maybe-
cutter more
I think
as
it's
like
making
his
a difference.
primary fastball. So, yeah.
So we don't know. Guys, I have less Baltimore than I thought I would when I first opened the slate and looked at it, and then kind of dug into Josiah Gray. I was like, yeah, I don't know who he is right now.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Which is fine to take a shot on Baltimore. Probably not on him. We're not taking a shot on him, right?
No, he's not needed at all.
Okay. Let's open some of these QQs. Of course, hanging out in the RG Discord. If you're watching this and you think, wow, that was free content from two of the sharpest minds in the biz, it is indeed. And all we ask is you hit that thumbs up button for us. We want to get as many eyeballs on the show as possible. The thumbs up, the subscribes, that helps us get the word out and keep the show free. So make sure you're doing that every single time you watch or else. Going to scroll up a little bit. Okay. FanDuel cash question. Cheese, I'm starting off with you here. Do you prefer this 3v3? Santana, Crone, and Marcano, or Contreras, Reynolds, and Smith Ninja?
Santana, Crone, Marcano. Like, as much as I like Reynolds is the guy I most want, but I would still go with the first side overall.
Okay, very good. All right, Carty, DK Cash, Santana, McMahon, or Crone and Smith Ninja?
Santana McMahon.
Very good. Cheese, in general, in a DK GPP, would you try to avoid cores as one? This is a good question. In general, for a DK GPP, would you try to avoid cores as one-offs to your 5-man stacks if you've chosen to go underweight? I feel like the answer is yes.
Basically, yes, with the exception that Crone and Reynolds,
Yeah.
I think you can play. But like the cheap guys, I would still just prefer not to play them because you're just hoping that they just all go 2 for 4 with singles. So I'm
Then you don't want them as a one-off. Yeah, right. And if it goes off, you're losing anyways, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Any Twins love in stacks on FanDuel, Carty, for what is this? 3 entry 100-man contests, like a Baltimore, Minnesota stack?
Sorry, repeat that for me.
Any Twins love, essentially, like a Baltimore, Minnesota stack?
Yeah, like I said, after Coors, there's probably like 10 or 12 stacks that are like all pretty similar. The Twins are certainly one of them. So if you want to stack Twins, go for it.
Another thing to note on the Twins, on the DK side, like other than Buxton and Correa, this whole team is so cheap. It's crazy. Like they're an obvious pivot off of Pittsburgh, where you can play. Like Miranda is 2,900, and like Michael Taylor 25, and Vasquez 27. So it is an interesting. Just take out your 5 Pirates and put in 5 Twins.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I got this question, and this is a good question from Steve O. He says, hey, what's up with Weather Edge not loving the Coors weather today? That's crazy. It's a nice temperature, and the wind is blowing out, and I looked.
Or he could have ended that question before the not loving part. Just what's up with Weather Edge?
What's up with Weather Edge? What's the deal? Reminder that Weather Edge is not some sort of projection system just based on how the weather looks and what things should do. It literally is just pulling in the raw data from what has happened in similar weather games. And there has only been 4 similar weather games in Coors, because it's not too often you see winds over 20 miles per hour. So in those 4 games, not a lot of runs have been scored. Carty, what do you think of a sample size of 4?
That's pretty small in this.
Yes, I'm pretty sure statistically it means absolutely jack shit. So,
and those 4 games could have been all like, Jacob deGrom and Kershaw could have pitched them too.
Right.
When it's 4 games, who knows?
Yeah. So, just always look at the sample size with Weather Edge, because if it's only 4 games, then that doesn't help. All right. Back to a few more of these QQs. Reynolds or Judge in FanDuel Cash? These are like 2 of your favorite guys, Cheese.
So, I mean, I would say Judge, but I don't know.
You're an idiot. Why wouldn't you take Reynolds, Cheese? Oh my God.
There we go.
He's really good and he's in Coors. Like, how dumb are you? Why do we even allow you on the show?
Why would you
Nice.
ever play Aaron Judge when you could play a Pittsburgh Pirate? That's what I would.
Carty, do you have a different answer or no? Really, you don't.
I
care
mean,
about
I like both, but I would take Reynolds. But
Yeah,
obviously,
alright.
Judge is defensible. We haven't fought this show, so
Yeah, that's good.
I'm
You
not
gotta
having
jump
fun.
on.
I don't know. You don't just get to say we're having fun on this show. Not true.
Yeah, no, not accurate. All right, let's see. DK Cash, Cheese, Solana, or actually Carty, Solana or Mancini?
Solano or Mancini.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any context? I mean, you're not playing either in cash.
Oh, it was DK Cash, so the answer is
The
no.
answer is no.
Okay, that's fair. Let's see. Jay West says, who is the bigger pinch hit risk, Cheese? Smith Ninja or Sawinski? Kutch is on the bench for a lefty.
I would ask Carty because he actually has a pinch hit number on them.
Guard,
Indeed
can
he
you
does.
pull
I'm
up?
looking.
a little-
So Smith Ninja, as we're calling him, is 8%. Sawinski is 6%. Although with Kutch on the bench, they're both probably that's both probably a little too low for them. But
Mhm.
Smith Ninja technically probably has a little more chance of getting pinch hit for.
That would have been my guess. Like I truly, honestly don't know. We haven't seen them do this. With having them out and Kutch out, so we don't know. But I would lean that way too.
Okay, very good. Got a question from Red Psych Sports in the YouTube chat. In DK single entry, Cheese, I noticed the top of the order for Texas, excluding Jankowski, project highly at very low ownership. For real, are they viable to replace 5 Pirates?
I say yes. They're one of the teams on my list. Yes.
Okay. Can we pull up the stack tool? Don't we have a tool that shows that projects the stack's popularity and likelihood to become winners and highlights it green and red? Someone knows what I'm talking about.
Well, the question is, does someone working the screen?
Who's doing the screen share?
I don't know.
Eh.
I wouldn't be able to pull it up immediately. I would have to dig around because
No,
I have my
that's
own
fine.
stacks tool in a notebook.
All right.
So I use the Cheese stacks tool.
That's a good one. I've heard it's a good tool. How many home runs will Hayward hit tonight? Carty, how many home runs will he hit tonight?
I mean, if I'm picking a full
It has to be a full number.
full
Yes,
number, I'm
full
going to
number.
go with 0.
0. Yeah, I think 0 is the safe bet there. What do you guys think about Cubs as a very low owned stack?
They're okay. There's a lot I would pick ahead of them though. I like Waldichuk more than I like Cubs.
Yeah, I have a couple Cub stacks, and I'm going to have a couple stacks of everyone against Oakland all year, just because of how bad the bullpen is. And Waldichuk, I mean, he's been bad so far. I think he's good, but sure is the answer.
All right, sure. Eric says, getting to Keller at pitcher in a few small field tournaments. Thoughts? Anyone getting to Keller?
No,
Not for me.
No. All right, that's fair.
he's not a terrible pitcher in his own weird special way, but I can't see using him tonight.
In his own weird special way.
Yes. Let's see. DK FanDuel Cash, Vlad or Cron? Jeez.
Glad for me. Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, if that's what I would have said. If Carty's going with the non-Coors guy, that's legit.
Okay. All right.
And
FanDuel.
the BVP outweighs the Coors factor.
Well, definitely. Yeah. More Cub stacks coming in here, so we know that. Here we go. What do we got? Do we got the stacks tool, or what is
Stacks
this?
tool.
No, this is something else. Oh yeah, this is it. There you go. So this tool, and I'm literally the last person who should ever describe this, as I've never played DFS baseball and I have never looked at this. But essentially, my understanding is it shows you ownership and its projection, compares it, and shows you what is optimal, like what stacks would be optimal. And this says Baltimore could be an optimal stack because you both mentioned they've got some potential and they're going to come in low owned.
That's the thing. So that's going to be using 2022 and previous Josiah Gray. If
Right.
that's who we get, Baltimore's the top stack.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Hey, Carty, who are the worst bullpens on the slate? Who's got the worst bullpen on the slate?
I can pull that up. So Nationals are real bad. Cubs and Oakland are both bad. Angels are bad. Brewers.
Okay, very good. Speaking of Angels, what are your thoughts on an Angel stack from Boss Bra?
I love Ohtani and Trout, and I think I officially have one full Angel stack in like 70 lineups, because I love Ohtani and Trout, and then it's just kind of it's so far behind everything else on the slate that I don't know what to do with it.
All right, that's fair. Do you like Volpe or Grisham at short in cash, Carty? Volpe or Grisham?
Volpe.
Is it Volpe? That's so much less fun than Volpe.
I would
Is it
assume.
Volpe?
I could be wrong.
I'm sticking with Volpe. I'm sticking with Volpe. My little Volpe. Who's my little Volpe? Is a full Toronto stack viable? Seems to make sense on paper, but everybody's so expensive. It feels like the best case scenarios are pretty narrow.
No, 100%. That's actually the stack that Bat likes the most after Pittsburgh and Colorado. And it's pretty bunched up, but
It's a good thing that they're so expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. DK Cash, Carty, 3v3, Vlad, Trejo, Brian, or Santana, Witt, McMahon.
Who was the third guy?
It was Vlad, Trejo, Bryant, or Santana, Witt, McMahon.
I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them. I probably lean towards the Santana, Witt, McMahon side, but there's not a wrong answer.
Okay. DK Cash, Cheese, Volpe, and Profar, or Trejo, Bryant.
Trejo Bryant.
Okay. Cardi. There's a 2K Rugi Odor on the slate. You have not touted him yet. Now is the time. Now is your chance to say you can play a little Rugi.
You're not going to get me to tout Rougned Odor against Spencer Strider, especially when we have multiple 2K middle infielders in Coors on this slate. You're not going to get me to do it.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. DK single entry.
This shouldn't be a huge issue, but the Cubs lineup is out and there's no Trey Mancini. So somebody asked about Trey Mancini. So there's your answer on that.
So not
okay. Very good. All right. DK single entry. Do I come off Rutschman to get up to Strider from Stroman?
Is there a format?
Cheese. Yeah, it was DK single entry. Cheese, I'll let you have this. I feel like both ways are certainly fine and viable.
There's so much not an actual answer to that. I would play Rutschman and Stroman, but
it's baseball.
The answer is
it's
yes.
So
the answer
dumb.
is yes.
I hate baseball. Sorry, guys. Like he could just go over.
So it's fine.
It's so annoying. Oh man. All right. FanDuel 3 max large field GPP. Pitchers you would cycle in, or would you just lock Strider? So FanDuel 3 max large field GPP.
I would not lock Strider.
No, you don't need to lock Strider.
Yeah, there's too many things you can do without him. No, I would not lock him in a 3 max.
All right, very good. Sawinski, this is DK Cash, Carty, Sawinski, Profar, or just play both?
You can certainly play both. I think Sawinski would be a higher priority for me, but they're both good.
Very good. Beaner says, what are your thoughts on Sonny Gray? Cheese, Sonny Gray.
I barely have thoughts on him. I still just I don't know how that happened. Like he had the one start, he struck out 13 Astros. And the other 2 starts, he looks like Sonny Gray. I don't think he's very good. He's occasionally good. He's fine. He's an okay pitcher at times. I mean, I have 0. If I had 400 lineups, I'd have 0. I don't have less than 100 lineups. I still have 0. But that won't be his last good start this year. Like he'll have a couple of those, but I can't see
this is not the spot for it. 0 is the correct answer.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. Best outfielder, Carty, 3,300 or less in DK Cash. In the meantime, what? Oh, maybe
3,300 or less. It's probably Sawinski, but let me see if there's anyone better.
Okay.
No, it's Sawinski.
Yeah, very good. Cheese in a FanDuel GPP. I've got Judge, Alvarez, and Ohtani in the outfield. Oh, baby. Since I'm playing Ohtani over Tucker at the same price, would you mind rounding out the Houston stack with Julks and Dubon Parentheses, Bregman is the final piece of the stack.
That was FanDuel.
It was FanDuel.
Yeah,
GPP,
like a guy like Dubin. I don't like it so much on FanDuel where you don't really need it. Like, I'd rather just play better players and not worry so much that it's definitely a 4-man stack everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's fine, but I would rather just say get a really great player at every position because you can.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. FanDuel GPP, Carty, Montgomery, or Gilbert?
Gilbert. The bat actually doesn't think Gilbert's going to be like crazy high owned. It has him third and a good bit behind Strider and Snell in terms of ownership, but it has him as the best overall pitcher on the slate. So I actually really like Gilbert in tournaments on FanDuel if people are going to flock more towards Strider.
Ownership is quite a wild card tonight. Like, I have no clue where like Snell's going to end up in ownership or like any of these
are
guys.
People going to not play him because, it's the Braves and I can't play him and he's Blake Snell and like, or are they going to see the price and
and then like I look at it and think, okay, nobody's going to play Jordan Montgomery because it's a weird price, but then maybe they are. Like, maybe the 12% is right. Like, I don't know. It's all over the map here.
Okay. TJ pointing out he's playing 30% Brad Keller tonight on DK, feeling frisky. He then says, "You are welcome to
guys
the
in the
donation."
same tournaments as me.
Let's see. Derek says Strider and Kirk, Strider and Kirk, or Montgomery Murphy to finish an Atlanta mini stack.
Strider, Kirk.
All right. Tanner, I'm sorry. There's like 10 names in that question, Tanner. It's too much for me, man. Like, pare that down a little bit and I'll try to get it to him. Frederick says, pick one for a GPP in Atlanta. Carty, Pilar, Ozuna, or E. White.
Was that one for me?
It was, yeah. It was Pilar, Ozuna, or E. White.
It's probably Ozuna, but I'm not in love with any of them.
All right.
I just get caught up by people. There's so many people in chat that we are 3 starts into the season for most pitchers, and people are already definitively saying things like Blake Snell isn't good anymore because of 3 starts. Like, give me a break. Like, guys, this is why you're not winning at DFS, because you believe things like this. Like, it's 3 starts, small sample. Like, it feels like a cop-out to say that, but it's not, because it's true.
And he has like, I've been great pedigree. It's not as if he's a random dude who's like,
And he says the reason is because he throws too many pitches. Like, no, you want your pitcher to be able to, like, Snell's leash has actually been longer this year than it has been in the past, which is a good thing, especially if he goes out and actually pitches well. So
maybe he means he has too much of he's got like 6 different pitches that he throws. Like, he's got
maybe, but that's usually not a bad thing either.
It wouldn't seem like a bad thing, Blake Smell. That's so
But it's
dumb.
not just this guy. This guy says I called him out, which maybe I did, but like, it's not just like, there's been people in chat who've said Sale is done. There've been people in chat who said Kershaw's done, like, all tonight in the last like half hour. So like, it's just, we're not at the point where you can say that.
Yeah. All right.
And that's why these guys sometimes, I mean, probably not Snell tonight because of the price tag or whatever, but like, that's why these guys are actually good tournament plays, because people overreact.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. What else do we have here? FanDuel single entry 2v2 Cheese, Hayes and Joe, or Suzuki and Patty the Tooth.
Single entry, you said? I prefer Suzuki and the Tooth.
Okay. Chinatown says, hey, Carty, the bat's top optimal likes Waldichuk. Do you?
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't think I'm playing Waldichuk in cash. I mean, you're talking about like 100th of a point separating the optimal with him from anybody else. But I mentioned at the top, like, I like Waldichuk in general. He's a pretty solid pitcher. He's facing a bad offense. He's facing them in the best park with the best pitching weather, and his price tag is really low. So yeah, I like Waldichuk a lot in tournaments. I think it's probably a little too cute in cash, but it's not terrible.
Okay. Arlo, Cheese, defend yourself. Explain why you don't like Volpe. We love Volpe, but maybe not tonight so much. He's showing a 250 ISO AD, that probably means and he probably means and. He's showing a 250 ISO.
You defend yourself, Adam.
I never know. Is this like a random new baseball term I've never heard of, or is it just a typo? 250 ISO and batting leadoff versus a guy who gets hit hard by lefties.
That is a very easy, quick explanation. The first number on Plate IQ where you see that 250 is plate appearances, and it is a 9. So it's the same as a 0. That 250 ISO means he got 1 home run. And then all we know about him for sure is he strikes out a lot.
Okay. There you have it. Drew Jameson is SP2. I don't think we mentioned a guy named Drew Jameson.
No, do not do that.
Okay. That was easy enough. Hey, 12 more likes. TJ is going to give away a 4th Spidey bomb, and he wants to give it away.
Is it Brad Keller? Can Brad Keller also hit a Spidey bomb for us?
That's good. Fanduel
The thing with Jameson, he's like a young guy that people are excited about and whatever. But he's probably not very stretched out, and the matchup is not good.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
Yeah,
probably.
But those are good reasons.
And his name is Dre with a Y. Dre Jameson.
A-Y?
D-R-E-Y.
D-R-E-Y. Okay. All right. It is a cool name. Tanner says, DK Cash, are you playing Profar in the outfield with Reynolds and Sawinski?
You can.
Okay. It's a solid. That works. All right. Brosbra pointing out this Dodgers lineup is, and I quote, poop.
I was looking at it. It's really not super intimidating tonight.
Yeah. The Dodgers lineup is poop. DK Cash straight up. Solano, Correa, or Volpe Santana? Geez, Solano, Correa, or Volpe Santana? I'm losing my mind.
If it's Cash, it's Volpe Santana. If it's a tournament, I would redo everything.
Okay. All right. Desired says, are the Lightning winning tonight, Roth? You're damn right. Take it to the bank. Lock it in. Lightning have been struggling this season, but they're going to get it all together.
Hockey playoffs
Roth.
are so legit.
So
this is fantastic.
Roth, do you really like hockey? Like you like every sport except for baseball. Like what is wrong with you?
It's fully accurate. Yes. I do.
Like I blame the Nationals on I think if the rain in Washington hadn't been what it was like 3 years ago, I don't think Roth would have the same mental block against baseball. I blame that.
I think that's fair. I think that may be true. Yeah. I honestly I don't dislike baseball. I enjoy watching baseball games.
You just hate working with us. You just hate doing shows about baseball.
No, I just hate the stupid things that people do about rain. That's it. You were right, Cheese. 3v3. FanDuel Cash. Carty, you want Snell, Alvarez, and Reynolds, or Gilbert, Sawinski, Joe?
It's probably Snell, Alvarez, Reynolds for me, but you're not wrong to do the other one.
Okay. Hammer pointing out they should have a rule, no hockey in Florida. That would be good for the rest of the league since all the Tampa Bay Lightning do are just win championships over and over again. So I'm sure many teams would enjoy that.
Are you a fan of the Lightning because they have a weather moniker?
It helps, but I'm from Tampa Bay. So that's, yeah. Mark says, hey, thanks, guys. As always, entertaining and informative. Thank you. We've been trying for the last 29 minutes to keep this rolling here. Can you recap the Spidey bomb? I cannot recap the Spidey bombs. TJ can. I assume
there's no Rangers. That's all I can assume because they're facing Brad Keller.
Oh,
aces.
Jay Sam says, "What's up with FanDuel, man? I think FanDuel might, our wonderful sponsor, may be having some issues. I don't know, but someone said, "What's up with FanDuel?" Let's see here. All right. Hey, you know what? Literally all of the questions. We've got like 1 minute until lock. I say we bounce early. Is that crazy?
Sounds good to me.
Get ready for some hockey.
Let's do it. Let's watch some hockey, guys. We're going to get on out of here. Hey, excellent stuff as always. It's always great working with both of you. For Cheese, for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.